I'm lucky to have found something that has helped me so much in my own personal life, and to be able to share that with other people and hopefully make some impact on other people's lives to help them find that level of peace.
What's up, y'all? It's Jacoby Kang with Jacoby Plunges.
A lot of stimulants that people take nowadays is like coffee or like a Red Bull or something like that. Red Bull has a lot of sugar. If you drink coffee, you get a crash. All these things have a side effect, whereas with something like cold plunging, it's something that you can do for 3 minutes, and this feeling of just having this like invigorating just feeling of being alive lasts, studies show, up to 6 hours. I never did this to make money. It was something that helped me in my own personal life, and that's how I think about anything that I do now is, you know, how do I make that type of impact that I experience on other people? And through that, I've been given a lot of opportunities that I could never have imagined. I just try to think about ways that I can be supportive and be impactful to the people that come and support me.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Opinionated Off Topic. If you guys haven't, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share this anywhere you listen to it with a friend, you know, family member, anything like that. Let's run it up. Let's get these numbers going into 2024. Today I'm with Carlos, co-owner, co-founder of Opinionated Media, and I'm also with Jacoby. And how do you say pronounce your last name?
Kang.
Jacoby Kang. And today we got a great guest. I met him at one of Leo and Matt's dinner parties, the reveal dinner parties. So shout out to the guys as well. Always, you know, doing great things for the community and connecting the community. But I met Jacoby there, and you know, I really liked his story when you were talking at the table and just kind of what you've been doing. And ever since then, you know, we exchanged social medias, and I've been following you and kind of just seeing your brand just evolve. And you know, we're always trying to tap into different niches and, you know, learn more about what you're doing and how you're impacting and things like that. So thank you again for, you know, coming onto the podcast, and excited to chop it up with you a little bit.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Like you said, I mean, appreciate you coming, and off camera, you're talking about how busy you are. So taking the time out your day and doing this with us, it means a lot. So
it means a lot, man.
Really do appreciate it.
Totally.
But also off camera, we're talking about a little bit about your backstory, and you're from South Korea.
Yeah.
And how long ago did you move to United States?
How long ago? I moved when I was 13.
13?
So I'm 28 now, so that's 15 years ago.
Was that like a big transition for you? Like, how was that? Did you want to, well, first, did you even want to leave?
No.
No?
It was a surprise. My parents wanted a better education for me, and there was a lot of their friends' kids went to school in the New England area, so that's where they sent me. I went with my brother, luckily, so that made the transition a little bit easier, but I definitely was not ready for it and didn't expect it.
Yeah.
Wait, so it was just you and your brother that came over here? Your parents stayed?
Yeah.
Are they still there currently?
My dad lives there. My mom lives in Austin now.
Okay. Was it like a boarding school you went to?
It was a boarding school.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I went to boarding school since I was 13, so I was with my friends since then.
Wow. So
That's
what was that like, the adjustment like when you got over here? Like, what were some of the things that you immediately noticed were different in America?
The things that were different. I'm trying to think. People were more playful.
Okay.
Because when you go to Korea, things are so regimented that you don't get a chance to go out and play video games or go play sports or go to like a sleepover. In America, I noticed that there are a lot of people that do that, that I wasn't used to. And so when my friends would invite me over to their home, I thought that it was weird that they would just be hanging out. I didn't really know what that meant. And so I would say that was the biggest transition for me.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So like, I guess in Korea, like when you would be done with school and stuff, would you just be with your family and that was it? It wasn't
Now
like,
you go to more school.
really?
It wasn't over.
Jeez.
It wasn't over.
And they still thought the education in America was better, even though you're doing more school in Korea.
There's more opportunities in America that I think they wanted us to be around.
I was about to say, because isn't our education system like really bad?
Our education is good. It's just like we just have like a lot of metrics that like skew the data.
Because
But,
our
like
tests are completely different, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's like,
It's a little bit more lax.
Yeah, that's all
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
yeah. Because when in high school, we had this girl that was from Brazil come.
Yeah.
And she was at her school. And she said that the testing here is completely different from when she was in Brazil. She was like, there's no multiple choice in Brazil. It's like you either know it or you don't.
Yeah.
Is that how it was in like Korea as well? It's either you know
There's
it or you don't.
multiple choice. It's just less frequent. Like, for example, standardized testing, you can take it multiple times a year. In Korea, you take it once. If you
Pass
don't
or
do
fail.
well, you gotta wait.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
there's a lot more pressure to succeed, I would say.
Did you know English prior to coming over here?
Yeah, I was when I was going to school, they had us speak English.
Okay.
And my parents really encouraged us to speak English as well. And so I had a little bit more practice and it made it a little bit easier.
Yeah, that's good. Instead of just like coming over here and not having any idea, I bet that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like I can even imagine, you know, for like us, it's like we grew up here, born here our whole time. So we never have had like that transition, especially for you at age 13. Like that's such a crazy transition for like women, men and women, like, you know, adolescence, puberty, like all that stuff's happening at that age, you
Yeah.
know?
So like at summer, when it was summertime, did you go back to Korea or you stayed?
I went back to Korea to study.
Oh, okay. So you went
Okay.
back.
I went back to study. Yeah.
Okay, got you. And you would be there all summer?
I would be there all summer and prepare for the new school year. So I knew what classes I would be taking in the new school year. So I would just take those classes over the summer so that I can do well
And
Dang.
in the actual school year.
So how much did that help you when you like got into that new school year? Was it like easy or?
Yeah, it was mad
Yeah.
easy. It was easy because it was my second time doing it.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and so
Dang.
yeah, I don't. You know, there's people think that Asians are smarter. I don't think that that's necessarily the case. I think they're just more prepared than, you know, again, people in America who there's a lot of merit to going out and socializing and playing, and it makes you more well-rounded. But I would say that Koreans are more focused on education and spending more time honing in on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do y'all, I mean, obviously y'all play sports over there because there's the Olympics and y'all are in it, but like, where does that even come into play for y'all? Because isn't Son, isn't he from South Korea?
Son.
Yeah. So like he's in the I don't know if he still plays for Chelsea, but he was in the Premier League, which is, you know, a high honor league.
Yeah.
I mean, even baseball right now too. You got
Oh, yeah,
the
you
guy
got
that
a-
just went to the Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like people like that, you have to been playing for a while, and like they're studying, like it's them playing all the time. So like, is it just you either play sports and you're really good, so you stick with it, or you study, or like when does
You
sports come
gotta
into play?
choose when you're young.
Okay.
So like you have prodigies out there that people will identify, and then they're doing that. So I think, kind of going back to the whole focus thing, Koreans are very good at honing in on whatever it is that they're targeting and just spending a lot of time practicing that thing. And so there's less prospects that come out just because there's so much of an emphasis on education, but there are people that show a lot of promise early on, and that's all that they're doing.
Those prodigies, you can tell because
Yeah.
you go crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, crazy. So I guess like you come over, you're in boarding school, and then we were talking off camera, but you end up going to the University of Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Kind of take us through that process. That's a very prestigious school in the United States, but like take us through the process of what made you go to Vanderbilt and what did you study there?
Yeah, I wanted to get out of New England because I wanted to try something new. And Vanderbilt was one of those schools that I didn't really know much about, and was in a city like Nashville that I've never been to. And so I thought that it really played into the whole novelty that I was looking for. And it had that work hard, play hard mentality, which I liked about it. Just that ability to go socialize, and then also to, you know, take some good classes with some good professors. And so when I went to Vanderbilt, I studied computer science. Didn't know that that's what I wanted to study. It was something that my advisor actually in high school recommended, because I was good at math and science in high school, and he had told me that that was going to be the next big thing. And so, you know, majored in that, and then graduated with the degree in computer science, and worked in that field for a couple of years after. Went up to Boston and worked at a marketing agency startup building websites.
Nice.
So you left Boston, went back to Boston.
I left Boston, went back up to Boston. Nashville was a little bit too country for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's
On Broadway.
Yeah.
You know?
It's weird because I've been there once.
Yeah.
And I was there for about a month and a half. It's different, but it's not like a bad different. I can feel like the Austin-ish kind of vibe,
Right.
but it's not completely like Austin.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
I feel like Austin 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Delayed.
Yeah, for sure. Austin is, especially now, is more similar to like LA-ish,
Yeah.
California,
Right.
a little bit. So you go to Vanderbilt, you move back up to Boston, and you move down to Austin, and we kind of talked about it off camera and stuff like that. But once you got to Austin, what was like your thought process on like the city of Austin, and kind of like, you know, what started to be that path to get you into what you're doing now? Because I know, without going too in depth about it, that you started off going to like Barton Springs and kind of getting in the water and things like that. So like, what was the start of all that?
The start was a lot of pain. And
For sure.
a lot of just fast-paced living. And when I had moved to Austin, I didn't know many people. I had just gotten out of a relationship. I had quit my software engineering job and really had a identity crisis. And so during that period, I just wanted some peace. That was it. And people kept talking about this Barton Springs place and how special it is. And so finally, one day, it was actually when I was coming back from Korea visiting my dad, and I was really jet lagged because there's a big time difference. And so I'd wake up super early, you know, do all the things that I needed to do, and still, you know, sun wasn't out. So people kept talking about Barton Springs, and I finally made the decision to go and go experience what people were talking about. The funny thing is, the first time that I went was when the snowpocalypse happened. So for those of you who don't know, Austin had a big snowstorm, I believe 2 winters ago. And this was possibly the worst time, but also the best time that you could go to Barton Springs, because I was the only person there. And it was a experience where I've never felt so much peace in my life. And that was a feeling that I became obsessed with. And so after that point, I would go every day. And after you go and do something so consistently, you have people ask you, you know, what you're doing on a daily basis. And my answer would always be that I would be going to Barton Springs. And so some of my friends that I made at the time and some of the other people that I had met asked if they could come with me. And so I said, sure, come with me. I didn't really know many people. And so that was really my way of making friends. And I would go to Barton Springs with friends, with people that I didn't really know, like every day. And it got to a point where it grew more and more. And then my friends started talking to their friends. And then it just spread. And then I got contacted from the city of Parks and Rec, Department of Parks and Rec, saying that I needed to get a permit to bring those people to Barton Springs.
Oh, wow.
And so at that point, I didn't want to stop. And so I applied for the permit and reached out to all the venues that I had known at the time to host these gatherings, and eventually landed at a place called Kuya that had cold plunges and a sauna and just had that vibe of kind of peace that I was looking for. And so we started having events there, and then it got to a point where I outgrew that space, and then ended up at a place called VUCA. And then it eventually, we went our separate ways. And now I'm in a place called Pershing, and host kind of these gatherings that I had started at Barton Springs. And so that kind of speaks to some of the evolution that this whole process went through. And I'm lucky to have found something that has helped me so much in my own personal life, and to be able to share that with other people, and hopefully make some impact on other people's lives to help them find that level of peace and those relationships that they can have from the events that I host.
How many people were you bringing to Barton Springs?
There's, I would say, probably close to 100 people at like 7 a.m. Yeah.
Wow.
You have to pay to get in, right?
Not before 7. No, not before 8. Not before 8.
Gotcha. So
Yeah, so
that's probably why they were mad too. They're
No,
like,
that's why they're
losing out on money. I bet you were doing it later.
Bro, you gotta. Like,
No, I bet they were doing it later. They would have been like,
bag.
"Oh, it's fine. He's bringing in customers," but they were getting mad. They were losing a little bit of money too. I bet. Heck yeah, dude, that's awesome. So like now you're at these these different places and at these different venues and things like that. Doing cold plunging and things like that. It's becoming kind of like a trend as of late. I would say the last couple of years, with like Dr. Huberman and, Dana White and Joe Rogan and people like that really speaking on it and like the benefits of, how it impacts your body, doing something hard, things like that. What have been like some of the immediate benefits like you've seen in your productivity using like a cold plunge or like cold shock therapy?
There isn't anything that gets you up as fast as doing a cold plunge, and that lasts up to that period of time. And so if you imagine a lot of stimulants that people take nowadays is like coffee or like a Red Bull or something like that, it's fine, but like Red Bull has a lot of sugar. If you drink coffee, you get a crash, right? All these things have a side effect, whereas with something like cold plunging, it's something that you can do for 3 minutes, and this feeling of just having this like invigorating just feeling of being alive lasts, studies show, up to 6 hours, depending on how cold the water is and what your tolerance level is. And for me, I haven't found anything that has that same level of, that level of that effect. And so that's really the first thing. And I really use it more so for like mental performance, because ultimately, I'm sure you guys relate, when you have a hard, morning of work and your mind is kind of cloudy and you just kind of feel like lethargic, doing a cold plunge in the middle of the day gets you back up and allows you to work like that extra, whatever, 5, 6, 7 hours at like a peak state. And again, I haven't found anything that has that effect on me like the cold plunge does. But I would say it started with just overcoming some of that that like high pace, like fast paced like feeling that I have like mentally, that I was able to get out of by doing it. So I was able to get out of my own head by going in that cold water. Because when you think about it, when you go into a cold body of water, it's a stressor that activates this response where you feel like your body feels like it's dying, right? And so your focus is just on surviving and nothing else. And so everything that you have in your mind before you're going to a cold plunge just goes out the window. It's just an instinct. It's just a natural instinct that your body has when you're going in that type of environment. And so I find that anytime I have something that is just like taking up like my mental headspace, I just go in the cold plunge and it just goes away. And so I would say that's the biggest benefit that I find.
The more you do it, I mean, I don't know if I think you still do it, but I haven't really answered this. But the more you do it, do you get used to the temperature? And then the more you do it, do you have to like start lowering the temperature to like make it colder?
Right. Your body eventually gets adapted, which is why I don't do it every day.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, water only gets so cold before it freezes.
Freezes, yep.
And you want to be able to optimize on some of the uses that you get when you're going into that cold water, to where your body doesn't get too adapted to the temperature.
What's like the recommended times to do it? Like a week, I guess you could say.
So it's less so. Studies show that it's less so the number of times, and more so cumulatively going in for 11 minutes a week. So you could do that once a week for 11 minutes, or you can split that up like 11 times to do it, once for a minute throughout the week.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, typically when I do it, I'm like a 3-minute guy, and I do a lot of like, which we'll get into because I know you have a sauna and stuff like that. But I do a lot of like shock therapy, like simultaneously, maybe 15 minutes sauna, and then hit the cold plunge for like 2 to 3 minutes, and then you hit the sauna and then go back. If you're able to do that, like most places only have one or the other, so being able to do that is like a game changer as well too. But going into that too, like the community aspect, like Austin is known, especially now with like the fitness and things like that. There's so many people in this area that are, super focused on fitness. So like what has been, what has been like some of the struggles, like trying to get people to, indulge in your community and stuff like that, especially for like first timers?
How do I answer this in a way that's, there are a couple of different things. It's a couple of things.
Speak from the heart.
Speak from the heart. Because strategically, right, like it's psychological, right? When you have things like music that's playing, that's hype, or if you have, for example, like a lot of attractive people there, you get this like courage that you just don't get if you're by yourself. And so I try to create an environment where it becomes a little bit easier to go into something that's really hard, whether that's playing music, having a DJ there, or just having, attractive people that are there. That makes it a little bit, a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And then of course, when you're doing something that is hard, having like breath work techniques that you can lean on while you're in the water, and then also before, so that you can expand your lungs, so that by the time that you're in the water, it becomes a little bit easier to take those deep breaths, is something that I try to focus on. And really the big piece is education. Like with anything that is newer or that is hard, you just want to create, make it make sense to people on why they should do it and like how to do it in a safe way. So like an example that I have is like marijuana, right? Like back in the day, people were just shitting on it because they were all saying it's bad.
Yeah,
but once you start to learn like the benefits of it, then you start to create more use cases and think about, people using it in a more beneficial way. It's the same thing with the cold plunge. Like if somebody's starting out, I wouldn't tell them to go in 37-degree water for like 3 minutes. That just would traumatize them and they would never do it again. I would tell them, hey, start with a cold shower for like 10 seconds, like after taking, a warm shower. It's like a good intro. And then once you do that for a week, then you can kind of bring it down to 20, or bring it up to like 20 seconds and then 30 seconds. And then, maybe do like cold water immersion at like 60 degrees. Go to a place like Barton Springs and stay in there for maybe a minute or two, and then work your way up to that, 40-degree temperature for 3 minutes. But I think having that protocol in place makes the practice more sustainable, which is the whole goal of this, because there are so many benefits with something like cold plunging, but if you don't get to a point where it becomes consistent, then you don't get to see the benefits. Yeah.
That makes sense. So when people go to your events,
Yeah.
is there any like first timers who've never done it before?
Most of the people that come to my events, I would say, are first timers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of the people that also come to my events are women, I would say. And
Okay.
what I found interesting about this was women have a higher pain tolerance than men do. It's harder to get them in, but once they're in, they can stay a lot longer. And so that's something that I learned about having.
How has it been for you? I guess you see like everything in your life. We're in Korea, came to Boston, went to Nashville, went to school and all this and that. And then you're like school, and like learning.
Yeah.
And now you're like a teacher and a motivator. So how has that transition been for you?
Yeah, I always think of myself as a student. And I think through this process, I've learned the most in the fastest amount of time that I ever have, because this is something that I'm passionate about. And I would say that transition is hard because it's not something that I'm used to. I've always been on the other side of learning 100%. And now that I am on the other side, it feels good to know that I can give more education and help people in the capacity that I can. And so I just try to think about ways that I can be supportive and be impactful to the people that come and support me.
Yeah. So, you've obviously been able to, at the time, establish a community
Yeah.
of people that are, not only willing to do this, but follow you to these multiple different venues and, give to your community and things like that. So when did you know, like, how to develop it into a sustainable business? Like what was the light bulb that went off when you're like, okay, like I have something here, this community. Now how do I like make it into a business to where I can not only continue to do what I'm doing, but also make it into a job and make money from it?
Yeah, it was, I forgot which number event it was, but there was for the longest time, I thought that people were coming to my events for all the other people that were involved with my events. So my events got to a point where it had yoga, it had a speaker, it had food and all these different things. And for the longest time, I thought people were coming for those things. Mm-hmm. But there was a point where I had started tracking the people that were coming for, X person, this yoga instructor or this speaker. And I started to realize that the vast majority of people didn't sign up through their link. Yeah. That made me think like, oh, that's shit, fire. Like I have something here. And there was a point where these events were selling out. And so my friends kept telling me like, yo, you gotta raise the price. Like there's too many, like it's selling out too fast, mm-hmm. and there's just not enough space to like hold this many people. Mm-hmm. And so I was scared that if I raised the price, nobody would sign up. Mm-hmm. And eventually I got to a point where I raised the price because my friend was like, yo, if you don't raise the price, I'm not gonna talk to you. Like we're not friends anymore. Which like, he said because he cared about me. But I eventually raised the price by like probably like $30, which in my mind was like the biggest thing ever.
So what was it before that, if you don't mind me asking?
So it was, I think it was like $35.
Okay.
Actually, it got to a point where it eventually got to a point where it was like 85.
Okay.
And in my mind, I was like, yo, I don't spend a lot of I don't spend $85 on really a lot of tickets, a lot of events. So
Yeah.
I got scared that nobody would sign up, and then it still sold out. And
Damn.
that's when I knew that there was something here.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Where it kept selling out even after I raised the price, which allowed me to scale. And that's when I started to learn more about really supply and demand. Once you have enough demand, that's really the answer you need to grow. And I would say that was the point at which I knew that I had something. Not exactly sure what that something was, but I knew that there was something here that I had to lean on and commit my full time and energy into.
Dang, that's
Were
cool.
you partnering with like a cold plunge company to do these events, or did you buy cold plungers and throw these events?
The first venue that I was at had cold plunges, and then the second venue that I was at, I rented cold plunges from another woman that was doing events like this around town. And so, yeah, that's really kind of where I got the cold plunges. And now I'm at a point where I have a lot of cold plunges because I just went into the business of acquiring a cold plunge business. And so now I have more cold plunges than I know what to do with.
So going into that avenue of like acquiring the cold plunges, and like obviously you have these events and stuff, and now you're like, doing a cold plunge and like e-commerce, selling things online and whatnot. What has like been, because I mean, we do you know Noah Walker and Cade? They had like having a cold one. Yeah. So like I know them. They started a cold plunge, but then you have like the original cold plunge, like the plunge.
Right.
Then there's this other cold plunge company that follows that's like Sub-Zero plunge or something like that. So I've seen a bunch of different ones, right?
Totally.
But how do you separate yourself if they all do the same thing?
Here's the thing. I don't buy my cold plunges from a manufacturer in China. That's what they do.
Okay.
So I get mine at a different price point. They're all the same.
Got you.
More or less all the same. Some have done more research and development than others, but mostly the same. And so how I differentiate myself is price. I'm able to undercut on the price because I bought it from a business that was going out of business. And so I got it for a price point that they just can't get it at.
Got you.
And so that's just the simple kind of answer for that. And the business that I bought it from did a lot of research and had a good product. The only reason they went out of business is because they weren't able to fulfill the orders that they were getting. And so they had a supply chain issue that is unfortunate, but fortunately for me, I was able to get them at a price where I'm able to sell them at a lower price point.
Okay.
How hard was it for you to learn the business side of everything?
I'm still learning. I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest, but I'm just trying, and I'm leaning on those that have a lot of business experience. So I'm lucky that I have friends and family that haven't had their own business. My dad was a business owner. My stepdad started his own business. A lot of my friends in Austin have their own businesses, and so I can lean on them to ask specific questions. And so I'm lucky to say that I have a good support system and people that are willing to share their knowledge.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So, as you're doing this, you also have gotten into, having a sauna, that you put it on the trailer and like you pull it around. No, like it's fire. So like you're able to do these, and what made you, as obviously sauna, cold plunge, kind of like peanut butter and jelly, they go together, right? So when you got this sauna, did you like go purchase a sauna yourself, or like what was the process of acquiring that?
Yeah. The process was getting a text from my stepdad saying that he saw this in San Diego and said that I should do it.
Okay.
And at that point, I'm not making much from the events.
Yeah.
And so he saw that I had a passion and I had a drive to work really hard at, what I was doing. And I think he just wanted to support me and start a business that wasn't gonna crush me if it failed. but was still going to teach me a lot of things along the way. And so he invested in me to go buy a sauna and a trailer and to put it together and essentially, rent it out to other places, wellness places, or gyms, or bachelorette parties, or bachelor parties, or wherever they're looking to get that experience. And so
that's awesome.
That's really how it started.
Shout out stepdad.
Yeah.
Well, shout out stepdad. And I think too, throughout this whole process, what I learned is when you work hard and you show a genuine interest in what you're doing, you don't know who's looking. I didn't ask him to invest in me. I didn't even come up with the idea. And he, saw something in me to give me that chance to show up in these different ways that I never thought I would ever do. I never did this to make money. It was something that helped me in my own personal life. And that's how I think about anything that I do now is, how do I have, how do I make that type of impact that I experience on other people? And through that, I've been given a lot of opportunities that I could never have imagined it would turn into.
Yeah. No, because once you do something for like pure passion and stuff like that, a lot of the stuff does compound. Like you kind of see it, firsthand, like how your life's changed and how you're able to have these opportunities. And with being able to rent, out your equipment and things like that, what has been some is that like a really good sustainable way as well as your events of like growing your business and stuff like that? Because I take it a lot of people, like you were mentioning, don't have access to a sauna or cold plunge, but if they're able to, still get those benefits for like a much cheaper rate or whatever the case may be, like, has that been like a process that you're having to like take it everywhere, or like what has been some of this, like if say it's like people booked it out all week, like you go into like 7 different places dragging it around and stuff like that?
Man, it is a grind to haul that thing around. I'm not gonna lie, because saunas are not meant to be on the road, bro.
Yeah.
The heater got fucked up the first time I used it because it's just bouncing around, and I had to learn to build a base that was gonna keep it stable.
Yeah.
And all this stuff, and at this point, oh man, I remember a funny story. The first time, this was even before I had the sauna. The first time that I tried to back the trailer up into my driveway, I literally spent an hour trying to do that. And I literally backed up into the corner of my house and like almost fucked up my house because it was so hard. I don't know if anyone has ever backed a trailer up.
It's just hard.
You turn left
to go right.
Yeah. And then you turn right, and it still goes right sometimes. And I'm like, yo, how am I gonna turn left? If both sides turn right. And so these are all the things that I had to learn over time that looking back is funny, but at the moment I was like, yo, I am fucked. Like I literally can't even drive this thing, and I don't know how I'm going to bring it around. And this was even before I had the sauna, which is a whole different story. To give some reference, I've never been to Home Depot prior to building the sauna. I'm not a handy person. And I built the thing. And gosh, I remember there was a point where I put some stain on the sauna and it started raining. And if you know anything about stain, you don't want to heat it up because there's chemicals in it. So there was stain coming inside the sauna that that just made me think that I had to get another sauna, and saunas aren't cheap. And so I think back to that moment where I was like, it's over. It's over. Oh my gosh. And luckily I was able to figure it out. I eventually got to, it stopped raining and everything dried, and I just sanded the inside of the sauna, but that took, multiple days to get every stain, piece out of the inside of the sauna. But yeah, these are funny stories that looking back, I can laugh at. But in the moment, I really thought that it was over.
I mean, man, we've had some of those stories too.
Man,
we had
no doubt.
I think he brought up the other day. We had a Home Depot run one time because one of our lights just randomly broke.
Yeah.
And they were at Home Depot like trying to find a light. We couldn't find a light.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to record, and it was already like 8:30 at this point.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was at his parents' house.
Yeah.
And his parents live all the way in Lakeway.
Yeah.
So it was like a 45-minute drive.
Right.
So I was like, well, hopefully this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like it's always something, but it really makes you appreciate it and like understand like what it's taken to actually build your business and like get it to where it you know where you have it at now.
Yeah.
You've done so. I was talking to you about shout out Matt Choi. You had him at, or he came to speak at one of these wellness retreats or on a panel and things like that.
Yeah.
So, like, what has that been like working with like entrepreneurs and people like that around Austin? Because I know Mason at our Raw Dog Run Club, one of the young kid. He's shout out to him, man. He's a good dude. But they started that Raw Dog Run Club, and I know like it's taken off. They have like most of the guys that have started it, they all have like 100K on Instagram. So the Run Club is taken off, and Run Clubs are kind of like the thing that's in now.
Right.
You know, I saw that you've been doing stuff with them and whatnot. So how has that been like growing your community, working with people in similar lanes?
Yeah, it's they get it, right? You guys get it. It's a grind. And getting a chance to talk to someone that understands the struggles and, you know, the highlights, you can relate on certain things at a deeper level than you talking to someone that doesn't, you know, have their own business or doesn't, you know, have not pursued some of their passions, or don't have a passion, which is totally okay. And, you know, I don't bash anyone for doing that, but it's been nice to have conversations and go deeper on some of these topics that, you know, we're all living out. You get the whole, you know, the light thing and, you know, the sauna thing, like you guys get it. Whereas talking to some people, like they don't understand. The feeling of like it's over, like is not a feeling that people that don't do this understand, right? And getting a chance to talk to someone about that feeling, it feels like you're not alone. And in this process, I'm sure you guys feel this. It's a very lonely journey. And I mean, luckily you guys have a team, but there are times when you're working like all night by yourself. And I think getting a chance to feel like you're not alone and feel like there are other people that are doing, you know, working towards the same thing makes you feel like, you know, there's something more greater that we're all working towards, which is a good feeling.
Yeah, because we've had like rough patches, like with gear,
right?
But it's a lot easier when I have him to calm me down, or I have him to calm me down, or I calm him down, or like, hey, this isn't in the world. We can fix this way, and let's do it. So it is a lot easier with a team, and I could only imagine just you being by yourself. You're stuck with your own thoughts. You have no one else to go to. You have no one else to ask questions. You have no one else like, what do you think about this? So I was like, I feel for you on that because that's got to be tough.
I think it doesn't help either that social media, like entrepreneurship has been glamified. Yeah, like you know, and everybody shows like the highlights, but like you said, nobody sees you at you have a full-time job and you're trying to build a business and you're up at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, and have to wake back up at 5 to go back to your next shift, and like nobody sees those nights where you're literally like, dude, I want to quit, like, because this shit sucks.
Right.
But then it's when you don't quit, you get to the other side and you're like, damn, like
you get to like your events, and you're like, oh, this is why I do this.
Reminds you why you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and ultimately, you know, it's thinking about why, you know, I got into this in the first place and reminding myself of that, and also having certain practices that I lean on to calm myself. So, obviously cold plunging, but I do a lot of yoga, and go on a lot of walks. And this helps me calm down and reflect on, some of the things that creatively allows me to elevate the experiences or the things that I'm doing. And so I think it's very important that everybody has their, whatever that thing is to calm themselves and to take a break a little bit from the busy life that entrepreneurship gives you. So yeah, I would say that's definitely something that's essential for me.
Last for me.
Yeah.
So like hosting seminars, breath work, like things like that in the community. Like, I guess when you're evolving all these things, right? Like, what has the power of collaboration like shown you with all that stuff? Because I don't know if like I've seen like there's like fitness coaches, you have people like speaking at panels. I saw you did that one retreat where you had like breath work, and then they had the panel, and then you had like all that stuff. So like, what is that shown you, like that power?
Yeah, it's shown me that people are really, they're really good people in this world. People that I have no business talking to that have offered their services for free.
For real.
And I'm so grateful to have gotten to work with a lot of great individuals who are so good at what they do. And really, a lot of it is, shared, having shared like skills, right? Because to make anything work, you have to have strengths in a lot of different areas, and to have people that are so good at what they do also work on something that you're working on allows you to grow. And that's what working with all these great individuals has shown me, is that the power of teamwork and collaboration and what that can do for a brand and a business.
Yeah.
What has, how do I work this? Well, just started in Austin, and you coming here not really knowing what Austin was like, and then just seeing a community come together and back you. What kind of an impact has Austin made on you in your life?
It has. I'm trying to think if it's more like, definitely the place is special. I think this time in my life has really been the most life-changing. I don't know what the word is, but it's the first time in my life where I'm working on something that I really care about. And this is also the first time in my life where I have a support system that can push me in that direction. It's not something that I had anywhere else. And I do believe it's a result of, having this city that has a high concentration of entrepreneurs and people who are really focused on their health. And so, yeah, I would say Austin has definitely provided me with a great support system and given me definitely a place to grow, both, career-wise, but also personally. And it's allowed me to really see the light or my future here. Definitely, at least have like a home base here, for sure. Moving forward, the summers are a little rough. I'm not gonna lie,
Bruh.
Summers are a little rough.
Even today it was humid, man. I was like, damn, bro, already?
Oh, I was 6 in the morning. It was like 6:46. I think it was like 6:37. I looked at the clock. It was 6:37. I let my dog out, You just felt the humidity just come
I'm
right
like,
at me. I was
bro,
like,
it's crazy.
This sucks.
I haven't like I work from home and I didn't do anything today.
Yeah.
Like besides us being at home, and I got my car to drive over here, and I was like, I got my Mustang. It felt like I was in the sauna. I was like, damn, I'm about to talk to you guy about a sauna. I feel like I'm in one.
We're getting to that point where we're not quite there, but
Nah, bro,
get
it's gonna be in that pool soon, Bar Springs again.
that's gonna feel hot.
But the thing is too, like I was telling them, I was like, bro, like the cold plunges in the summer, like they hit different.
They hit
Like
different,
they feel
bro.
good, bro. Like
I mean, it's kind of getting like this everywhere because I mean it's off topic, but I was reading that last year the beaches in Florida were like 80 degrees and it's the hottest they've ever been.
Wow.
they were pretty hot last year. I was in
gross.
Florida.
Yeah.
I was in Florida like almost a year around this time last year.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was.
So that just shows
pretty
you like
warm.
how hot it's just getting everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Global
Hey, it's good
warming.
for the cold plunge market.
Yeah.
Nah, for sure.
It's good for
sure.
You know, we're on the
Hey, you know it's hot over here. Just hop in cold plunge.
hop in the cold plunge.
Yeah, for your
Sure.
own personal pool.
Are you when you finish the cold plunge? Do you like put your head underneath and come up?
I
Kind
dunk.
of guy.
dunk.
You dunk? Yeah, I'm
I
the same
dunk.
way. You dunk in.
I
and then
hold my
dunk it.
nose and I try to stay in for 10 seconds.
Okay.
And it's a different experience, bro. When you
It is,
dunk
especially when
versus-
you're like neck level too.
Yeah,
You're
that's
and people when like because I put my hands in there a couple times and bro, it was the worst thing ever. Like I'm in there for 3 minutes and it feels like needles are just
Bro,
like
you know what a
stabbing
good
your
business
hands.
idea would be is
Yeah.
having like gloves and socks
Uh-huh.
that like can kind of protect you from the cold a little bit.
Yeah.
Like
Like-
kind of like a wetsuit.
I'm gonna say like a
material.
wetsuit glove.
Yeah.
I think that would crush.
Yeah, especially like the hands,
might
because
have it.
my feet are cold,
Maybe, I
but
haven't
like
seen it,
they're
though.
not as bad. But like, bro, when I
feet.
put my full like up to my neck and my hands are in there, bro, my hands like it's painful, bro. Like how cold it is for like 3 minutes. I'm like,
Because you usually sit like this, right?
usually I sit like this on the edge, but I'm trying to get more like, and I've done probably my
uncomfortable?
Yeah, I'm trying to put my hands in there.
Yeah.
I've done it like 2 or 3 times, but bro, it just.
If you put your
Bro,
hands in your armpit,
That's how
That's a
I've
tip.
done that, but like
Yeah.
I've seen people that literally just like this up to the neck. I'm like, bro.
tough, dude.
And apparently like there's some kind of like nerve or something.
The
in, like-
vagus nerve.
Yeah, you know. So like that's what you're really trying to hit anyway. So it's
Yeah.
like then you gotta like get past your nipple a little bit. It's a little
bro. And
It's
here's
a
the
little
thing: I do think that people get too obsessive over like these marks, rather than just thinking about like doing it.
It's gonna benefit you either way.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Like you play football, right? It's
Yeah.
like the football player that focuses on getting the best cleats, but he's trash.
Yeah. No, 100%.
You get on the field, bro. Like go get some playing time.
Yeah, no.
First, think about
Yeah.
the play
Yeah.
rather than thinking about what shoes.
Yeah,
you're
what you're
gonna
looking
get.
like, those
Right,
people
like-
that like just look like creative players that are gonna
Yeah.
and then they just never play.
Right.
Those type of kids.
Like get in the fucking water before you think about
Because
getting.
you're gonna see results regardless.
Yeah, 100%. And I think about it too. Is like you hear people like I've heard people in the gym. They're like, oh, like how do you feel about the cold plunge? Like, do you think? And I've seen like there's that one guy on TikTok or on Instagram. He like lives in like Canada, and he's like day 366
Yeah,
in a row like cold plunging. It's like ice, like frozen. He's like dropping the brick in there, and he like gets in. The videos are cool and stuff, but like I was reading the comments, and somebody was like, oh, this is so bad for you. Like you're shocking your body. Like someone said cold plunging isn't like good for women and
Right,
stuff.
right.
And then I'm just seeing like people talk about like the brown fat thing.
Sure.
And they're like, oh my God, like are you even like doing it to burn the brown fat and stuff like
Right.
that? So like you're saying, people are just too invested in like all these marks and scientific things instead of just like doing it for how you feel, and all the other benefits are just a plus
Yeah.
with it too. So
Do you watch sports?
Sports?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you watch UFC?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't really know about cold plunging. He told me about it, but it wasn't until a few years ago. But in Russia, it's a big thing.
Right.
Like that's what they do over there is cold plunge, and they'll jump in like
Freezing.
the
water.
freezing, and then they'll go right into the sauna. Islam Makachev.
I saw the video. The
With
Nelk
the-
boys.
with the
actually-
Nelk
yeah,
boys,
the Nelk
yes.
boys did it.
But
Yeah,
like
I saw
that's like a common thing, or like even the kids were doing it. Like they
Yeah.
were just the kids will jump in and go to the sauna, jump in, go like that's
Yeah.
that's normal life over there.
So growing up in Korea, they have Korean spas that have cold plunges and saunas and steam rooms, and just it's the best place ever. If anyone hasn't been, I definitely recommend. Unfortunately, there aren't any in Austin, but they have them all over, like Dallas and Houston.
that might be something you do,
Yeah.
Some venture you go into.
Sheesh. Man, I I thought about that, but
Yeah.
I'll get to that, another time. But growing up, I was doing the cold plunges, and so I hated that. And it's funny now. It's kind of like the anime stuff that you guys were talking about. That was not popular back in the day. Nobody was doing that.
No,
but
for sure.
now it's like becoming.
It's like a trend. Like
It's
even
now
with
a
the
trend.
run clubs, like all these little
Yeah.
things, like I mean, sauna was like all of it. It just kind of like people are just, especially in Austin, there's so many young people here. It's just like, and it's like you said, it's for a lot of single people too. It's like, oh, like I have, I like fitness, yada yada yada. I'm gonna go to this community that is doing this. I can maybe meet somebody, and so like I saw like you were doing like some speed dating thing.
Oh, it was a singles event with Swift Fits and Austin Monthly.
Yeah,
So
that looked cool. Like little speed dating
There were
with
mad people there. There were like 500 people there.
Jeez.
That's a good turnout.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's pretty cool.
Someone, huh?
Yeah, no, for sure. That's just a cool concept too. Like like I said, like there's people that like want to date and stuff like that, but they don't want to, at where you typically meet people is like either at your gym or in communities or like out and about, like at the club and stuff. But you go to something like this, like the likelihood of meeting someone genuine and stuff is probably a lot higher and whatnot.
You share a common interest,
Yeah.
which I think is important.
Yeah.
Last thing for me. So you've built your community here. I mean, you've done all these events. You started at a little place in Austin at the Barton Springs, and you started with 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, and now you're throwing these events. Have you ever just off camera, you're talking about just how you're always working. Have you ever just taken the time and just like took a step back and look what you've done, and also like a short amount of time, and then just like stopped and smelled the roses?
No.
I get it.
wish, bro. Honestly, I was listening to like these motivational videos on YouTube with like all these famous people, and I think it was Kobe Bryant was talking about like a high school teacher that told him that you don't take breaks until the end. Don't take a break in the middle. Take a break at the end. And I don't see myself being at the end anytime soon. And so that's just the way that I think. And that might not be good for mental health or whatever, maybe for physical health or just health in general. But I have a vision that I want to execute. And until I get there, I don't believe in taking rest.
I get that. I'm the same way.
And it might be an unpopular opinion nowadays too, especially with the rise of mental health stuff and all this stuff going on. But I want to be great, and that's what it takes. And again, it might not be the best thing for my health right now, but I can smell the roses later.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like the fulfillment aspect.
Yeah,
I feel like
I love it, man. I love what I do, and sure, there are times when I'm exhausted and I question what I'm doing, and times that are uncertain. But the times that I do have the events and people are coming up to me and tell me how impactful these events are, it just makes it all worth it. And so, until I see through what I'm envisioning, I'll wait on smelling the roses until then.
Yeah, I like it. That's it for me. Carlos, do you have anything? Or Bert, do you have any questions?
I got one.
Okay.
So I know Eastern civilization's more traditional, more disciplined, I would say, than Western civilization. Our culture is more follow your dreams. Like it's more laxed, I would say.
Yeah.
Given that you're from Korea, where your parents, when you quit your computer science job career, were they like, what the heck are you doing? Were they supportive? And what was that like initially, and where are they at now as far as you following this passion?
Yeah. My mom's always been supportive. She loves me almost too much sometimes. And she'll be on my side with whatever decision that I make. My dad was the one that was a little bit harder to get through, and at this point, I'm an adult. And so, it's a decision that I have to live with regardless of what their opinions are. And, ultimately, I had to stop thinking about what my parents wanted, because their life is so different than my life. Our upbringings are different. And so, sure, I lean on them for certain things, but I feel like for something like this was something that I really did enjoy and I believed in. And so I had to follow my gut and go with it, even if my dad didn't approve of it in the beginning, and over time he got around and now he's supportive and all these different things. But I don't think anything should stop you if you have a dream and you have aspirations to do something with your life. And that includes, parents' opinion, which isn't the easiest thing. I don't want to discount like how hard that was, but ultimately I really do believe in what I'm doing, and I'm not going to let anything stop me in getting there.
Good.
Yeah.
And that's it for me. Again, thank you just taking time out your day. Appreciate it. This was a dope conversation. It's always dope hearing just people's story and like how they got to doing what they're doing. You came all the way from Korea and you're in Austin, Texas, of all places, and you're just building yourself your own little community. So
Yeah.
What's the saying? A little fish in a big pond or something like that.
Yeah, a little fish in a big pond.
Yeah,
Bro.
So
I'll be a big fish.
Absolutely, bro. What you're doing, and like even the little time I've known you, bro, like just kind of following your journey, and just from the time we had that dinner, I was like, end of last year, and I've already seen what you've been doing since then. So you're obviously on the right track. You know what you're doing. You got, a cool concept and idea. And now you're getting into other, business ventures to not only, increase like your business acumen, but also like tie back into what you're doing now. So it's super cool to see. And like we said off camera, like willing to help you in any way we can, like, and want to continue to, work together and things like that. It's all about that in our aspect. So thank you again for coming on to the podcast. Like he said, dope conversation, and it was good to get to know you a little bit more and everything you got going on. And definitely got to come to one of the events here soon for sure.
Baby.
So I'll be out there at some point.
You guys are always welcome. Give him a whole
Yeah, I
bunch
need
for
to,
the
dude.
first-
Yeah. I didn't want to do it, but have you been in one? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do. I guess I got everybody in here.
Yeah,
done one.
come
I'm
on
the odd
now.
one out.
Yeah.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Always
Again,
welcome.
thank you, appreciate it. You're a dope, genuine dude, and you're building a community for a reason. People like what you got going on, so continue to grow, continue being you, and continue speaking from the heart. But that'll do it for your boys over here at Opinionated. We'll catch y'all guys next time. Peace.